All right, I thought I would just take my time and go through how you can actually get through the Bible in 1 month. If you want to practice this, you can use an audio app of the Bible. It's free on Amazon, and just listen to the Bible at 1.5 times speed. That will get you through the entire Bible in 66 hours. So you could literally do it in under 2 weeks. But if you want to practice at the beginning, I would encourage you to use it as a pacer and listen to the Bible as well as read, and this will keep you on pace. This is what I did at the beginning, is I would listen to the Bible and read along at the same time, because sometimes what would happen is you would get up, make yourself a cup of coffee, and then sit back down at the table, and you're still listening. And then you just catch up physically with your physical Bible as you're listening to it. So that's what I would encourage you to do at the beginning to keep your pace. Then after a while, you'll realize that you actually read a little bit faster than you listen. So these are the average times that I'm going to share with you, and hopefully this will give you some sense as to how long it actually takes to get through the Bible. So the book of Acts will take you 1 hour and 40 minutes, and this is the order that I would recommend going through the entire Bible in 30 days. So Romans, 1 hour, 1 Corinthians, 35 minutes, 2 Corinthians, 30 minutes. I'm not sure if people realize this, but you can actually go through the Old Testament in about 5 days, the New Testament in about 5 days. 1 Corinthians, 35 minutes, 2 Corinthians, 30 minutes, Galatians, 15 minutes, Ephesians, 15 minutes, Philippians, 5 minutes, Colossians, 5 minutes, 1 Thessalonians, 5 minutes, 2 Thessalonians, 1 Timothy, you can see the time there, 15 minutes, 2 Timothy, Titus, Philemon. They don't take long at all. I think this is what surprises a lot of people. Then, once we're done Philemon, we jump over to the book of Genesis, 3 hours, Exodus, 2 hours, Leviticus, 90 minutes. Now, I will admit, it's 27 chapters at the very beginning. This used to take me a few hours to get through Leviticus. Now I can go through it in less than an hour. Like it's one of my favorite books. Anyways, Numbers, a little bit of a dry read at the very beginning. It'll probably take you about 4 to 5 hours to get through the book of Numbers, because there's going to be times where you might have to reread it because there's so much data. I would strongly encourage you to listen and read at the same time, and don't take any study notes. Just get through it one time, because the more you go through Numbers, the better it is, and the more familiar you're going to get with the names, the data, like the numbers of people, tribes, all this kind of stuff. At the beginning, because it's so new to you, you're not going to remember anything, and your head is going to get full very fast. So I encourage you, just go through it the first time, listen to it and read along, get familiar with some of the names and stuff, and that's it. Just go through it. The more times you do it, like I've been through it 8 times now, and it's actually a fantastic book as well, but it was a little bit hard at the very beginning. And the only reason why it's hard is because you don't know the names, you don't know the tribes, you don't know what's going on, because there's so much new information. And it's basically a re-recording of the journeys of Israel and all this kind of stuff, the history, if you will. Deuteronomy is 2 hours. It's Moses recapping everything that had happened with Israel, including what's going to happen the second that Moses dies, as in they're going to turn away from God. Kind of sad at the end, but very powerful book. I used to listen to this book every Saturday. So I just sit down on my couch and listen to it on YouTube while this text is scrolling for 2 hours. And then that was it. Joshua, 90 minutes. Hebrews. Then we flip over. Joshua is a fantastic book. Again, it's one of my favorite books. Take you about 1.5 hours. Some people maybe 2 hours. Then we flip over back to the New Testament. Then we go to Hebrews, James. These are all 5-minute books, which is interesting. 1 Peter, 2 Peter, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, Jude, and then the book of Revelation takes about an hour. Then we're back to the Old Testament. We continue on with Judges. Basically, Joshua has passed away now, and Israel is to continue conquering the nations in the promised land in Canaan, but they don't do it. Instead, they turn away, and then so God raises saviors, also called judges. And then we got the book of Ruth, 15 minutes. 1 Samuel, 2 hours. It's a fantastic book. Most people are comfortable with reading Samuel, written by Samuel, of course, 1 Samuel. 2 Samuel, 90 minutes. 1 Kings, 2 hours. 2 Kings, 90 minutes. Now, there are some people that think, I believe, that Ezra wrote Kings. I'd have to look it up, but I think that's what most scholars believe. So 1 Kings, 2 hours. 2 Kings, 90 minutes. 1 Chronicles, 90 minutes. 2 Chronicles, 2 hours. This is a heavy hitter as well, because a lot of data, a lot of information. They go over... Chronicles follows the lineage of Judah, of David, basically the line of Judah, if you will. And then 2 Chronicles, like I mentioned, 2 hours. Ezra, 30 minutes, a great book. Sometimes you might want to read it a few times. Nehemiah, 55 minutes. Esther, 30 minutes, another great book. These are all about the same time frame. Esther's a little bit before Ezra and Nehemiah, I believe. But what's interesting is they've all lived or hung around the same palace as Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So yeah, Nehemiah, 55 minutes. Esther, 30 minutes. Romans, 35 minutes. 1 Corinthians, 30 minutes. 2 Corinthians, 30 minutes. Galatians, 15 minutes. Ephesians, 15 minutes. Philippians, 5 minutes. Hope this is helping people. Colossians, 1 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians, each 5 minutes. 1 Timothy is about 15 minutes. Again, we're looking at about 20 pages per hour is how I figured it out. So 2 Timothy, 5 minutes. Titus, 2 minutes. Philemon, 2 minutes. And then we flip over to Isaiah, heavy hitters. 2 hours and 30 minutes. Most people take about 3 to 4 hours. That's what it took me at the beginning. Jeremiah, 3 hours. Lamentations, 15 minutes. Ezekiel, 2 hours and 30 minutes. And then we hit the Gospels. Matthew, 2 hours. Mark, 1 hour. Luke, 1 hour. John, 90 minutes. We'll flip over to Daniel, 1 hour. Hosea, 30 minutes. Joel, 10 minutes. Amos, 15 minutes. Obadiah, 5 minutes. Jonah, 5 minutes. Micah, 15 minutes. Nahum, 5 minutes. Habakkuk, 5 minutes. Zephaniah, 5 minutes. Haggai, 5 minutes. Zechariah, 30 minutes. Probably take you about an hour and you're not going to know what's going on. That was, for me, for a while. The first 4 or 5 times Zechariah was the most complicated book in the Bible. I'm not kidding. It rivaled Revelation. But now I'm starting to get a grasp of what's going on. Malachi, 15 minutes. And then Matthew, just for fun, because I like the idea of going from Malachi right to Matthew, because basically I consider Matthew the Old Testament as well until the death of Jesus. And really that's when the New Testament starts, is after the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But I just like it because then you have the genealogy and all that. So it's up to you if you want to read Matthew. It takes about 2 hours to do it just as a bit of a refresher, because you've already read Matthew once. But I would suggest, if nothing else, read the first 12 chapters of Matthew before you flip over to finish up the whole Bible, which is in Job. This is how I like to wrap everything up with a nice bow. Job Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. And just for a record, how long things take. Job is 90 minutes, Psalms 3.5 hours, Proverbs 1 hour and 5 minutes. You can probably do it in about 50 minutes if you plow through. Ecclesiastes 30 minutes, and Song of Solomon 15 minutes. So I hope you got something out of that. If you want, what I'll do is I'll back up here. You can take a screenshot of this if this helps. So let's just divide this up into 2 screenshots. So if you want to do a screenshot, boom, boom. If this helps, then you can get an idea of, some people like to take screenshots from videos. It's probably an easier way to do it, but this will at least get you an idea of what it takes to get through the Bible in 30 days. This is 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. Oh, right here. 7 days a week. That'll get you through the entire Bible in 30 days. Remember, you don't have to do Matthew. It just helps me get through the Bible, understand what I'm reading, all that kind of stuff. And remember, you're not using a commentary Bible. You're just going to use a King James Bible. That's what I use. That's what I recommend if you want to try NIV or any of the other ones. This may or may not work for you. I've never been able to do it with any other version. I've only been able to do it with the King James Bible. So that to me says something as well. But there you go. You have it all. You have all the information. You know now how to get through the Bible in 30 days. If you don't want to do it in this order, you can mix it up however you want. But this is how I do it. This is how I got it to a science where I can actually get through the Bible in 30 days if I don't read any other book. And I've been guilty of reading other books as well. I've been guilty of going through books in the Bible a bunch of times. There's times where I will go through, where are we here? I will go through the epistles of Paul. I'll go through them a few times. I'll go through Romans a few times. I'll go through Ezra 3, 4, 5 times, Nehemiah 5 or 6 times, Esther a bunch of times. So Hebrews, James, all that kind of stuff. This is what will take you longer than 30 days if you keep cycling through. But that's a good thing. It's a good thing to cycle through 1st, 2nd Corinthians, Galatians. It only takes you 15 minutes, really. You can make yourself a cup of coffee and go through the book of Galatians. But what happens is, and I'll wrap this up real quick, is people, this is another tip here, but what people do is they're sporadic. They go all over the place. They read half a book here, half a book there. The only way you're going to make it through the Bible in 30 days is basically what I'm sharing with you, is to finish a book that you start. So if you start in the book of Acts, finish it. It's only 1 hour and 40 minutes. Once you're done, then you can go to the book of Romans. When you're done the book of Romans, go to 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Galatians. This is your reading time. Remember this. This is your 2-hour block time, whether that's in the morning, afternoon, evening, or whatever. I do it in the morning because it's easiest. I do not get interrupted. It's my time. It's my quiet time. If it takes me 30 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes, or 2 hours, that is the time that I do. And if I only read for 2 hours, I'll make up, or if I only read for an hour or so, I'll make up that time either in the afternoon or in the evening for sure. But if you stay on the pace of finishing the Bible or finishing each book, you'll automatically start progressing through the Bible without being distracted. So when you start Galatians, finish Galatians. Only 15 minutes. Just sit there and finish it. Ephesians, 15 minutes. Man, you can knock off Romans and then 1st and 2nd Corinthians in one sitting. Then you jump into Ephesians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1st, 2nd Thessalonians, all in one sitting. So I hope this helps you out. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you got something out of this, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.